The experience of using Strada for file transferring and remote editing is shaping up nicely, so I caught up with Michael Cioni to hear more.
You're watching CineD, supported by B&H and CVP.
Hi guys, I'm Johnnie from CineD and I'm here with Michael from Strada. Michael, how are you?
Always great to be back with you.
You know, I was just watching you before this interview, talking to people, and it's really amazing how much you can actually, you have to repeat stuff basically. It doesn't hurt.
Oh, yes, it hurts. It hurts bad. But you know what? Some guy on YouTube yesterday wrote on one of my videos, I think the Fuji video, goes, "You're way too excited about this." And I just feel bad for people that can't let themselves get excited about this. Why else get up in the morning? Yes, this is exciting, and I'm allowed to be excited about things. Plus, when you're doing stuff on the internet, what you guys do so well is you have to really overdo things to try to connect with people so far away through this two-dimensional screen, because they're sitting there not, who knows how engaged they are. So I think what guys like us have to do is work harder to be engaging, and that's worth a little bit of pain in the throat.
True. And on top, it's really exciting. It's just nice to be here. And I want to talk a little bit about Strada, which is you and your brother obviously created the company. It's what now, 2, 3 years ago?
2, 3 years ago, something like that.
And you have a very dedicated team behind you. And it seems to me like a marathon run. So maybe just a little bit about the company so we can orientate the people and then we dive into the product itself.
Yeah, so I've been a serial entrepreneur for 26 years, and I've always wanted to build technology for creative people, unlocking creative control. And I've always liked to be on the fringes and try things that are untested and learn how to make that better. So Strada is really my fourth startup that I've been a part of, and I love those first few years. They're the hardest. But if you're an entrepreneur, they're also the most satisfying. And so I've worked at big companies and startups, and unequivocally, I love the startup experience the most.
Maybe CineD is the oldest startup in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're totally right.
We wake up in the morning and we feel like today is the day. But anyway, it's not about CineD, it's about Strada. So you decided to try again and revolutionize our industry. This time with what product?
So what we have been listening to with users is everybody feels their cloud storage is too expensive, that it keeps filling up, and they have to keep buying more and more cloud storage. And I was sitting at my dining room table, and I got an alert on my phone that showed me when my credit card got charged. And I got my Frame.io and my LucidLink credit card bill at the same time on my Amex. And we realized our small team was paying $1,200 a month for cloud storage. And our team isn't that big, but we were generating a lot of material. And then if you extrapolate that 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're like, this number is going to keep going up. And that's when, with user input, we realized that the best problem that we could try to revolutionize is to make cloud storage less required for remote collaboration. It's a tough problem. Very few people have ever tried it. Cloud companies want us to believe that you should try to make clouds behave like a local drive. We think that's wrong. That's backwards. You should try to make local drives behave like clouds. We should be able to invite our collaborators to our own drives so that if you make an investment in a big drive, we're in the OWC booth, they have lots of drive options, you should just be able to invite people to that drive. That's the pioneering technology that we've been developing for the last couple years.
Now, there are some things like this or similar things, literally your local NAS or whatever, to transfer between remote computers, some data. What is the uniqueness in your technology?
Well, the problem with using a remote NAS is you'd have to connect to it through like a VPN experience. And the problem with that is you don't have folder level permissions and security. People don't want to invite people to everything. They want to invite it to just one folder. And what you give a collaborator, an editor, a director, a client would be different permissions. So we brought in the types of permissions control that great products like Frame.io or even Google Drive have in clouds, but we allow you to apply those permissions control to your local drives, and you don't even need a NAS. You can actually run it off of a camera card or a little bus powered drive or a large RAID, medium RAID, small RAID. So it doesn't even matter what kind of drive you're connecting. You can do SMB, you can do VFS, you can do RAID, NAS, SAN. All of those are applicable. So it's all about whatever drive types of storage you use, being able to invite people directly to it, and then you don't pay any cloud storage because you already paid for the storage on premises anyway.
Where are you now with the development? Because obviously we've been discussing this for quite some time.
Years, yeah.
That's right. Where are you now with the development? And is it ready for prime time?
Well, every user's in a different place. We have users all over the world that are using it daily. TV shows that are using it for peer-to-peer transfers, so they don't have to pay for products like Signiant or Massive or WeTransfer or Aspera, because we're much cheaper than that. And in some cases, we're much faster. Because you don't have to upload it first to download it. It's just a transfer, so it's less steps. And then we have people now starting to remotely edit. And that's the next big frontier, is remote editing peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer remote editing doesn't sound really sexy, so we don't call it peer-to-peer remote editing. We just call it Strada Connect. But it is remote editing off of local hard drive. So I can edit off your hard drive, and that's really the next frontier. So the path that we've been on is users they want to get off clouds. They have too much storage on premises. Their internet isn't fast enough to upload it all. They don't want to pay to rent all that cloud storage. And that's helping drive us. We have always had Strada in a position we call build in public. As you know, we put almost everything we do on the internet, and we ask for feedback. Almost every new user, I write an email to them personally. When they come on our Discord, I greet people personally because I want to establish that relationship that's real. They're not talking to a bot. We don't have bots. We don't have AI help. It's the help desk. If you write a tech support, it comes to my phone. This is the tech support line comes to my phone, and I answer these people directly because we want to capture the fastest, accurate feedback we can to make the product better. That's how we're moving so fast. Is we're talking to the users every day and using that to influence us.
Now, in theory, the technology sounds amazing. And also, I've been working with this, and I really like what I saw. The thing is that there is still this limitation, which is internet speeds, basically. Is there any way around it, or is there any way to do buffer or something that will help when you try to work remotely and edit?
Yeah, and I can show you right here. This is really cool. This is a technological first. I actually have Blackmagic RAW files here. If I make this a little bigger, you can actually see these are BRAW files, and you can see how big they are. 13 gigs, 11 gigs, 28 gigabytes. What I'm able to do in the web version of Strada today is playback a 28 gigabyte RAW file, and I'm playing it back in a browser. Now, a couple of things if people aren't paying attention. One, this is the first time anyone's been able to debayer a RAW file in a web browser. You can't debayer RAW files in Chrome, Safari, Firefox. They can only decode RGB files. So we have cracked that, and we've got BRAW working in a web browser. Second, if you're playing back Blackmagic RAW 12K files, those files are 9 gigabits per second. My internet here is about 1 megabit, and I'm showing here 400 meg. This is half a meg right there. So this is very low bandwidth. And if I hit pause, the drive that's blinking if I hit pause right here, the drive will stop blinking. If I hit play, the drive starts blinking because the file I'm playing is on this actual drive.
Which is not here.
Which is not here. This is actually a Zoom call with a computer in California. We're in Las Vegas, and I'm just viewing a live feed here. And as I hit play and stop, the file that lives on the remote drive reacts. So what you asked originally is, how do we get past this bandwidth issue? What people have been doing in the cloud companies is they have to re-render your file as a proxy file and make a small version to work in the cloud. But that means you have to duplicate media, you have to make a copy, you still have to upload it and download it and store it. What we're doing here is proving that we can make an ephemeral file. We can make a file that doesn't exist, but we can present it to you virtually. So this file, which is 28 gigabytes, is actually coming to us at half a megabit. That is thousands of times smaller, and it only takes 200 milliseconds for that whole process to happen. I can even scrub this file. If I just scrub along, I'm able to scrub this huge 20 gigabyte file And it doesn't matter. If I go to the next take, next take, next take, next take, they all just play back. So what we've done is we've proven that we can do this in the web with a remote drive off of terrible internet. No one would argue this internet is a problem, but it's working. What we're about to do is take this technology stack, which we filed a patent on, and we're going to move it to the Finder. So you can do the exact same thing at your Finder level. So when you grab a 28 gigabyte RAW file in Finder, you can just drag it into your timeline and start editing as if it was already an H.265 file.
So that means, just to make it simplified, I open the Finder, but actually I can see the remote computer there, and I can drag that file from the remote computer to my editing system.
That's right. And if I do that here, if I show my desktop and I go to my LA computer and I go to a bunch of files right here, here are a whole bunch of dailies. I'm going to grab a bunch of dailies and drag and drop them into Premiere Pro and put them in a timeline. I am now playing these files off of a computer in California. I didn't have to import and download. I didn't have to upload them. They're still playing off this drive in California. And just in case someone wasn't sure if I moved it, if I look at this random file, 16 Charlie take 5, and I right click on it and I say show it in Finder, there's 16 Charlie take 5. And I can follow the original. It's still on the LA M4 Mac Studio connected through Strada Connect. So we haven't moved it, no upload, no download, and it's living on a drive that I've owned for years, and it's fully capable of being accessible wherever I go.
You just showed a sample on working with Adobe Premiere. Which other editing systems are supported?
This works with any editing system. I have a timeline here playing back in Final Cut Pro. I can drag the exact same files into Resolve, and this will be kind of crazy if I grab these files, put them in Resolve, and I make a timeline. So now I've got files in Resolve that I can play back. I've got files in Final Cut. I've got files in Premiere, all playing back. And the other beauty of this is it doesn't matter what the file type is. So even if I go to something like company photos, let me just do one more test here. There we go. If I look at one more test here and I grab these photos and I bring them into a product like Evoto, now I can bring in files into Evoto and start working there. So it doesn't matter if this is a photo, audio, video. It doesn't matter, because when you're accessing things at the Finder level, that's how you access everything. That's how computers should work. We actually think what we're stumbling on here is a fundamental miss of all operating systems. Operating systems should allow you to invite collaborators into your folders and file structures at the OS level. But nobody thought of that. Nobody built that. They think you have to put it in the cloud and then mount it separately. So we're actually building kind of a new way to use the Finder. And what you'll see if you keep watching us, we're going to reinvent the Finder or File Explorer system. And imagine a File Explorer that is turned up to 11. That's what we're after here. And you're going to see that coming very soon.
So in terms of from 1 to 100, how much the technology and the product are ready now?
This is an evolving story that will never end. And here's a better way for me to answer that question. A lot of companies would respectfully all say, it's never going to be done. We will just keep building forever. But a lot of companies build what we would qualify as a point solution. They make one thing and that's all they do. They're a desktop sharing, or they're a file transfer product, or they're a review and approval product, or they're a whatever, anything. We're building a platform. And a platform is way harder to build. It's a miserable experience. It's so difficult. It is so much surface area, especially as a startup. And every venture capitalist says, do not build a platform as a startup. It is so difficult. But if you can pull it off, you can rocket ship really far, really fast. And you find through users they'll say, I can use you for this product replacement. If you make it do this, I can replace this product. If you make it do that, I can replace that product. That becomes really enticing. It's hard because if you build it in the wrong order, you burn all your cash before you get to the good stuff. So that's why we need user feedback all the time to ensure that we're capturing their insights so we know what to build next. And we take polls and we do contests and we listen to people and we meet with them one-on-one every day. And we make sure that the next stage of the platform is always going to be the right fit for them.
Almost last question. So what is the next step?
The next step is review links. People want to be able to send files to clients, something you need, because you don't want to have to use an application to get those files or give those files. So we hear that from people. So we're going to build a non-app version so that you can send files to people. We actually just built from another customer. They wanted a non-app version to receive files. Those are called upload links. We actually built that. Now they want the opposite direction. Download links. Okay, so we're building that. Then after that, it'll be commenting. The commenting experience is really cool with Strada because one, it'll be free. You can connect unlimited storage, share that with as many people as you want, watch the files, and comment for free. That will cost nothing because it costs me essentially nothing because it's your storage, your computer, your internet. So we'll have commenting for free. And then after that, we'll see things like more RAW camera support. I want to be the first person to play back an 8K RAW file on my phone and on LTE internet. And I think we're going to be able to do that.
Great. Michael, in 5 years from now, NAB 2031, are we still talking about Strada or are we talking about the next best thing?
Oh, no. I intend to be doing this for a while. And we've been super fortunate that over the last 3 years of Strada, we've gone from a little corner of Dan Kane's Atlas Lensco booth, who was so generous to let us have a little corner, and we showed some early prototypes. Then last year, we had a little 10 by 20 booth, and we started experimenting with our agent technology and remote sharing. And Mike Seymour at FX Guide in Sydney, we were streaming files from his computer over peer-to-peer here. And now we turn that into a real product that people are literally editing with 6 editors on one hard drive across the country. Like, that's where this is going. So where that can go, it's a platform play. And so the platform means it's going to be wide. And it's going to be governed by the customers. I'm going to do what they want. I'm listening to them, and I don't pretend to be the smartest one in the room. I want to hear what they think we need. And the customers, if you're willing to give them a microphone, will tell you what to build. And if you talk to enough of them, you can synthesize that into patterns. And if you can understand the patterns that they're all saying unilaterally, you'll be able to build it right. There's a lot of companies here that are very bad at understanding the patterns and noise and the chaos, and they just build what they think is right, and they tell the customers, here's what you need, and those products do okay. Here's a great example. I can't remember if I saw this on CineD or not. I think I just saw it on Facebook, but we saw GoPro just made a great camera with a removable micro 4/3 lens, and everyone went crazy. But a guy on Facebook said, 10 years ago, I told GoPro, this is all you need to do. And they basically said, take a hike. And he was like, it took them 10 years to just listen to us. And that's all you got to do is just listen to the user. They'll help you. And the users have good intention, and people want to feel like they can influence the businesses. And it doesn't matter if you're big or small. Just give them a microphone. They'll tell you what to build. They'll tell you what's working and what's not. And then you get to decide to act on that.
Unfortunately, there are quite a few companies in our industry that kind of do what the engineering department want or the marketing, and not what the user. But that's a completely different conversation.
Good one, though.
Maybe on our, on the podcast, we're gonna run the podcast together in a few days, and maybe that's another topic. Anyway, Michael, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.